right. Welcome back to the show, or to the show, not necessarily back to. Let's put the comments on. And might get rid of the background though. I didn't really love it in the video, how it kept kind of blinking out and everything. That wasn't the best. We'll see if any British people want to join today and talk smack. That's interesting. Let's see. I think it's in our settings, right? Background. Yeah, let's just go with none. There we go. Just little old me hanging out. So it is 10 o'clock at night. Wow, late. I have, well, I did the One Ring review. I hope you guys liked it. I made sure to explain how the rules worked and the different phases and whatever. I think it was a much better review than the last time I reviewed the game. And there'll be more of that because there are multiple books to the One Ring. There's Adventures in the Lost Lands and all kinds of stuff. The Moria book, and I will be actually writing down notes, keeping track of what I'm doing, and doing actual real reviews that will be a little bit more useful than me just rambling. I'm not saying I'm going to stop rambling. I think I'll just mostly keep the rambling to the live stream and do the reviews with a little bit more seriousness. Not for any particular reason, since nothing has changed. I haven't monetized the channel or anything. I have no plans to. It's just, as I said, I was watching Double D earlier. What a great guy, right? But as I said, there comes a point in your life where you just, being complete sucks. That's pretty much where I was too. It was like, if you guys noticed over the last couple months, I barely made anything that wasn't a live stream. And the reason is simply that I just didn't feel like I had anything to talk about, So now some of those old videos, if any of you are like wanting to see them, they still exist. They're on Rumble, because I upload on Rumble quite a bit. So some of them are still on Rumble, but mostly they're just gone. And that does kind of suck in hindsight, because I will say this was something that maybe I did on impulse and didn't think through. As Hungar pointed out, the game where I was DMing him on a solo adventure through Conan 2.20. Hey, Daniel Bear. Well, I think that's gone. And that does suck, because that video had the Shauner seal of approval. He said that I was a pretty good DM, and he said that Hungar was a good player. So, we did it, Ma. We did it. We were Shauner approved gamers. So, but as I was Hungar, when he brought it up, I just said, look, bro, we can always pick it right back up where we left off. We know where you are. We know what's going on. And we should do that, actually. Like record him and I playing a game. One game that jumps to mind immediately is possibly running Blade Runner. Just a one-on-one, Hungar and I, Blade Runner by Free League game. Because that game really is the kind of game that, what's up, Crafting Gamer? How you doing, homie? That game really is the kind of game where one or two players, would be a good fit. That's not the kind of game where you want 8 people sitting around the table. All of them playing Blade Runners, trying to hunt down 2 or 3 replicants or something. I mean, you know, the other game that would be pretty easy to solo play, I think, like one GM, one player that I could do, and that depends on him, is Deadlands, the original. Because the idea of him making up a gunfighter and just drifting through the Weird West, getting into trouble, that's 100% a hey, what's up, Shark? How you doing? The Lone Gunman. I mean, Clint Eastwood made how many movies about that? So a solo game of Deadlands where he's playing the lone gunman, just traveling about doing stuff, but in the Weird West. However, I would go a little lighter on the weird and a little heavier on the West part, which is not to say I wouldn't have, all the baddies in the book in the game. I think I would just be a lot more like greedy with them, I guess. What's up, Shadow? How you doing? Um, how you doing, bro, Michael? Of course, we got our Semper Fi. Love to play Deadlands. Yeah, so that could be hey Shadow, if Hunger and I decide to run a recorded game, like it wouldn't be live. It would be recorded on StreamYard. Uh maybe you guys could play a couple of Sundance Kid and whatever that was. Maybe you could do a little thing like that. Maybe we'll talk to Hunger. Uh I would probably take all of because I have all the Boot Hill adventures like Mad Mesa and everything like that. And it would be so easy to take the stories from Boot Hill adventures and just convert them over to the Weird West. So if I run Deadlands, just so you know, we would talk on Discord. You tell me what kind of player you want to play. It's the Orange book. I play using the Orange First Edition books. Not a huge fan of the later stuff. I think the drawing of cards and making characters and just all the weird eccentricities of the original Pinnacle game were kind of what made it so freaking awesome. The while I don't hate Savage Worlds by any means, Savage Worlds is kind of like a big bowl of oatmeal. I love oatmeal. Who doesn't love oatmeal, right? On occasion. But if you don't, do something with it, it's just kind of plain and bland. Yeah, old Deadlands. That's what I'm talking about. Which can be purchased on Amazon for like $20 for the rule book. And then if you want to get the Hex book or any of those other source books, you can. But I'm kidding you. I kid you not. A soft cover copy of that is on Amazon for $20, or at least it was a while back. So, because I was complaining about Deadlands, and I don't even remember who it was at this point, but they said, you can still buy the original on Amazon. And I was like, wait, what? Really? And I went on Amazon and looked, and boom, picked up the Marshal's Guide, the Player's Guide, and the Hex book. I think that's the only 3 I picked up, but I intend to eventually get the Preacher book and the Indian book. And no, I did pick up the Bestiary as well. So, I think I ordered on eBay an original Deadlands map. It's like this huge map of North America, like with Mexico, United States and Canada, or at least part of Canada, but it's deadlands. So it has, the Confederacy, and then like the freaking Sioux Nation, and like the maze where California used to be. So watch out, Shadow, because according to Deadlands, half of your state is just going to fall into the ocean, and what's left will just be islands and cliffs and pirates, including Chinese pirates, apparently, that sail across the Pacific to do a little pirating in the maze of California. What I'm doing right this second is I'm finishing up my Spartans by putting green on the base so that when I put the flock on, get the flock out of here. If any of the flock doesn't perfectly cover, it'll just have that green under there. I do that with green or brown, just whatever. But this is pretty much my 6-point Spartan army for Saga, which I know may not be super interesting to anybody that's not a war gamer. And if you know about Saga, you probably have to be a hardcore war gamer. You didn't move to the US till after World War II. On my maternal and paternal side, not count my stepdad, because my stepdad showed up when I was young, but you guys know the story. On my biological sides, both sides, they arrived before the United States was a country. On my maternal side, my great whatever many times removed grandfather stepped off of an English ship at Williamsburg, Virginia, which at the time was the crown colony of Williamsburg, Virginia. And then immediately ran across the hills into the county, which existed back then. That is now the county I'm from in Kentucky. So I had relatives living in Kentucky in the 1750s. How you doing, Crafting Gamer? Are you muted, or did you just get tired of waiting for me to add you up beside you?
Well, if you can hear me, Mike, my end is kind of freaky.
Oh, boom. Crap. I always have the hardest time with Crafting Gamer. For some reason, he can connect to Shadow's shows, no problem. But every time he tries to join mine, it might be that Shadow uses a different video thing than I do. Deckard, how you doing, homie? I hope you're doing great, Deckard. Been a while. But yeah, I'll talk to Hungar if we decide to do any sort of online recording of kind of a 1 or 2 shot Deadlands thing. We'll see about getting you in that. But right now, we're talking about the possibility of maybe on weekends. Well, being alive is good. Remember, pain just means you're still breathing, and still breathing is good. Not that I'm saying, the afterlife is going to suck. I'm just saying you want to be here as long as you can. You might have stuff you need to do yet. But the way Hunger and I did it last time is I just set up a recording and sent him a link, and he joined me, and then it was just us two there. And I ended up rolling all the dice, which he didn't have a problem with. And I had a copy of his character, and he had a copy of his character. So, it was really on his end, it was just all story, because I was handling all the mechanics, all the roles, all the everything like that. And like I said, it got the Sean Driscoll seal of approval. My GMing and Hungar's playing. Sean Driscoll said that we both did pretty good. He liked it. So high praise from our fallen comrade. Since he thinks everyone else that he sees sucks balls. I play Amber, yeah. I tried to play Amber, but I think the guy that was running it didn't quite. I don't think he was quite ready for it. You know what I mean? Because, and I'm not blaming him, and I hope no one thinks I am. I mean, but when you're used to playing games like L5R, because at that time L5R was the game. That's what we played every weekend. L5R, the adventures of my Scorpion clan Shinobi and Hungar's Crab clan Bushi, etc. Right? Painting a squad of U.S. Marines for bolt action armies. Nice. Nice. You'll just have to find somebody playing Japanese to put a beating on. I think Warlord Games sells an actual miniature of Chesty Puller too. Just FYI. If you decide to pick that up, even if you never play a game, you might just want to pick that up to paint it and set it on your nightstand. So that, like I said, every night before you go to bed, you can say goodnight to Chesty. Right? Isn't that the tradition? I mean, if the army, who would I say goodnight to as a soldier? Probably Patton. You know? If I was going to pick a general that I think I would, by tradition, be goodnight General Patton is the first one that comes to mind for me. May not be the best, but in my opinion, having watched the George C. Scott movie about 100 times in my life because my grandfather loved it, yeah, Patton was just a badass, you know? But I mean, Bradley was a great general, a lot of good generals, all of them from the South. I don't know if you ever noticed that. Like the vast majority of the greatest military men to ever serve in these United States military are Southern. Like a huge, like General Admiral Nimitz, one of the greatest commanders of the Navy of all time. I'm pretty sure he was Southern, like Carolina or something. Patton was from South Carolina. Like, yeah, I'm telling you, that's why the Army sucks right now, and probably the Marines is finally at rest. Father Aaron's prayers on my show were much appreciated, as he was a Catholic. Rip old man. Yeah, I said prayers to him, and I say prayers for him. You know, when I do all my prayers, you know.
I really do hate my computer.
You know, it could also
Pretty
be
good.
some conflict with StreamYard. Because I use StreamYard.
Yeah, true. I didn't have this problem with Shadow and Son this morning when I was on Restream.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, it's just your computer. Shadow was on this morning?
Yeah.
I wish I had missed that.
Well, technically it was Justin.
Oh, I was up and out of bed at like 8 o'clock. But then again, we have guests coming down. So the wife had me slaving away. It was like I was singing that song Parkin was singing. Days never ending. Master got me working.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe Master set me free. Except I don't want to be set free, but you get what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually playing.
What are you playing?
The South Park video game, Fractured Butthole, right now.
Fractured Butthole. Yeah, that freaking. I made my guy like totally the gothy looking kid. Like I did everything I could to make my guy look like one of the goth guys. Had the hair and all that. That's such a good game. I said in a video,
it is so far.
Here, but since I'm talking to you face to face, I did you bad when it comes to the orcs, man. You basically got a truck.
Yeah, I actually seen that video.
Gazco, the new one.
Yeah.
Death Dread, and a Pain Boy. I could not find a single boy. So I threw in probably 2,000 points worth of Primaris Marines and a transport if you want to stick 10 of your intercessors in it. So sorry. Now, to be fair, Gasco's miniature is worth like $7.
I have no reason to complain.
I know I said, I don't know where my orc boys went. They're out there. I moved shit around the garage so much. Oh, I also threw in like a lance and a half or 2 lances of Baltec figures. Just cause. Give you something to paint. They're easy to paint. If you ever want to know about painting them, I'll do another video on how to paint Baltec videos or Baltec minis. I can paint a Baltec mini from gray to done in 15 minutes. Oh, there he went. Hey, did you ever see the video of Jackie singing that song? I have not. Unscripted and Unchained. What is up, my brother? I hope you're not freezing up there in the big city, man. I hope you're not freezing. I managed to drag my ass up north about a month ago before the hurricanes and everything. I did a whirlwind tour of Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky. Even before that, went to Indiana. Hated Indiana. God, Indiana's the worst. Even the people who live in Indiana hate Indiana. I haven't been to New York since like, I don't know, the late 80s. And when I went to Queens because that's where my pop's family lived, in Queens. We lived right across that main drag from Jamaica. 77 for me, that's hot. And I live in Florida, and I absolutely hate hot weather. I freaking hate it. And if I could have convinced my wife to move with me to Alaska, we would have long since been gone. I loved Alaska. When I visited, loved it. You know, a nice, brisk 50-ish, 60 degrees during the summer. Oh, yeah. That's my weather right there. But, you know, my wife always comments how it's weird that I never get cold. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe I've got like a good thick layer of, you know, subdermal blubber or something. But I'm sitting here right now. It's 74 degrees in my house, and I'm kind of sweaty and hot. I feel, you know. But then I go up to Kentucky during the winter when you got snow on the ground and it's like 10 degrees, and I'll be wearing a long sleeve shirt and the whole thing. Check the Discord, Shadow. Sending me something on the Discord. What do we got? Oh my goodness, Shadow. You ain't right. That's hilarious though, but you ain't right. I remember that one dude, the Mexican comedian, and he did a cover of the song "All I Do Is Work, 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 Work," but it was "All I Do Is Dig, 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 Dig." He's shoveling dirt, and he's got a big sombrero. Freaking, that guy's hilarious. Their idea, not mine. Hey, it's good that he can joke about it and still be proud of his culture, man, and his people, you know? I always tell people, and I won't say that I invented this because I did not. I learned this from the actor that is the face of the Russian mobster, because there is an actual Russian guy giving the advice, but he will not allow himself to be shown on camera. So you've got the actor pretending to be him. But anytime it shows his hands and you see all the Russian prison tats and shit, that's the actual boss. But they'll never show the face, right? And the one guy with the brown hair and beard and mustache that says stuff a little bit, he is in the mob for real. He is a member of the Russian mob, but he's retired now, so he don't care, you know. But like that guy says, if you don't respect your ancestors, don't expect them to respect you. And what he's saying, though some people might call me superstitious, is that those who have gone before are looking down on you from heaven. And if you disrespect them, then when you need them, they're not going to be there. There'll be no intercession, there'll be no miracle, there'll be no boy, I got lucky situation, if you turn your back on your ancestors. And like I told the British guy there, Dave, when we got into it, he was bitching about Britain. And I was like, the worst thing a person can do, in my opinion, is apologize for winning. That is so terrible. Appreciate any mentor. Well, you're going to get a shit ton of them. Don't worry about it. Yeah, they should be on the way. So where you are, it's going to be about a week or so. I usually send them UPS. So yeah, it'll be a week or so. Never met any of my ancestors except my parents. All my ancestors died before I was born. That's not a reason not to respect them, though. You see what I mean? I have ancestors that are Scandinavian. I have ancestors that are Slavic. I have ancestors that are German. And I will not disrespect my ancestors. I won't act like they were horrible people, especially if you're talking about the dark ages when, everybody was just kind of cruising around doing bad shit. It's just crazy. Tomorrow night, I'm doing a live stream at 7:30 to discuss the 47th death of the OSR since 2021. If you can drop in, I'd love to discuss it. I will see if I can do that. Yeah, I don't know if I got anything going on tomorrow unless the wife tells me I do. And I'm not gaming until this Sunday. It might be fun to talk about the OSR a little bit, but I will be honest with you, Bloodworth. I have been playing Vampire the Masquerade for, I don't know, last 3 or 4 months at least, maybe more. I am the D&D channel that doesn't even play D&D. And if I start running a game, so far the vote is 1 ring. Well, like I said on Double D's channel, he was talking about milk, and I said the meme. I love to drink chocolate milk because it involves 2 things I adore: lactose tolerance and conquest. And he's like, "Ooh, James, keeping it spicy." Because, yeah, I refuse to apologize for the things my ancestors did. I will say that was pretty shitty. Like when Quantrell's Raiders, I'm directly related to some of those guys. You guys already know it. When they killed all those wounded Union soldiers in Kansas, that was really bad. They shouldn't have done that. But am I ashamed of any of my relatives that fought in that war? No. And I'm not ashamed of the Vikings that did all the Viking bullshit. And I'm not ashamed of the Germanic people or the Rus or whatever. It's stupid, And it's a sickness that only infects the West, specifically Western men. This idea that we should be ashamed of our ancestors. You know who isn't ashamed of their ancestors? The Mongolians. They built a giant ass statue of Genghis Khan in their capital. And you know what? I love that for them. I do. I think we should have a giant ass statue of George Washington like crossing the Delaware to cut a bunch of Haitians' throats, or Hessians, not Haitians, Hessians. You know, don't be ashamed of winning. It's the most insane idea, and yet in the last, I don't know, since somewhere in the 80s, we started. Indies are dying too. Oh, I hope not, because I am absolutely in love with almost everything Free League does. Supposedly, they're doing a second edition of Coriolis, which they're not. The only thing I would change in Coriolis is I would have made the game rules more similar to Twilight 2000 or Dragonbane or something than what they have, the just straight year zero engine. I mean, it works. You roll a handful of dice sixes, and as long as you get 1 6, it works. But for Free League games, the new Twilight 2000, I really appreciate the mechanics of that. And I think those mechanics would have fit perfectly with Coriolis, especially when it comes to suppression from like different automatic weapons and stuff like that. But I don't know if the One Ring will ever die. I don't know. As long as Free League keeps the rights for it, I'm telling you right now, it is a great game, and I know you know, because I'm pretty sure you've got it. I think you did a video on it or something. The other game I was thinking about running a solo mission and recording it for Hungar and maybe another person is Blade Runner. I've got the box set, and I've got the second mission, Fiery Angels Part 2, I think. And I've already pre-ordered the Replicant Revolution. And I think Blade Runner is the kind of game that 1 to 3 players would be perfect for. I really do. But I know you're saying the OSR is dying as a joke. It's like, because again, like you said, for the 25th time, you know, they're putting the old OSR in the grave, and it's like, whatever. Yeah, 4 would be the max I would ever even think of. I don't even think 4 would be really the right group. If I have my druthers about it, it would be 2 players, 1 referee. And the players could play as partners for the LAPD, human or replicant, whatever. And then I would just run the missions in the book, you know, the because that is more of a very small group investigation, blah, blah, blah kind of thing, you know. But like I said, Deadlands could be that too. You could play a solo game, 1 ref, 1 player of Deadlands, if the player's just playing a wandering gunsman. I mean, I've seen plenty of freaking Sergio Leone movies. I've seen like all the spaghetti westerns. So all I need to do, no, we're not doing any of that overkill, Joe. I pride myself in having never seen that, but I've had it described to me, and just having it described to me made me want to retch. I mean, WTF is wrong with some of these chicks out here? You know what I mean? That's got to be mental illness, you know? But anyway, yeah, having a player in a Deadlands game playing that lone gunman wandering around just trying to make a few dinero or not get hung by some rowdy townsfolk, that shit would work. And or Top Secret SI. I do have Top Secret and Top Secret SI, but I don't know if I'd want to run either of those really. Even though they are great for 1 or 2 players, because I mean, James Bond, you've got James Bond and maybe 1 other person. It's not like you can have an 8-player group playing Don't forget to hug your daughters. I hugged my daughter last weekend. I went to her little get together at her house, even though I do not celebrate Halloween at all. But I dressed up in my full Deathcore Creed gear and showed up. And I'll tell you what, the other people who showed up in costumes, they were like floored. They're like, oh shit, I feel stupid even being here now and stuff like that. Because I come walking in with the las gun with the freaking bayonet on the end and the full gear and everything. You can't see any skin whatsoever because I wear a balaclava and a long sleeve black wicking shirt and gauntlets and then the big coat and the boots with the gaiters and everything. Everything. You've seen the picture. I've posted the pictures. And yeah. And what was weird about it is I was worried that my 2-year-old granddaughter might be afraid of me. She ran up and hugged me as soon as I walked in. So somehow she knew who it was. Or she's just really friendly and doesn't mind that I'm wearing a mask. You know what I'm saying? Well, I don't know. It was like Michael, after I got retired and shit, other than making videos, I decided that one of these times they have a convention up here in Orlando, I'm going to show up as Deathcore Creek. And I got in contact with my man in Kazakhstan, not even joking, guys from Kazakhstan. And it turned out he was selling all the stuff. And I could show it to you. I mean, it's hanging over there. It is all cowhide leather constructed, like everything, the harness, the ammo belts, everything is just amazing. And then I bought a French horizon blue jacket off of eBay from World War One, or a World War One style French horizon jacket. But it's odd because all of my Death Corps Kriegsmen are wearing field gray with dark helmets, whereas I'm wearing a dark helmet but blue. So I might go online and see if I can find a replica of a Finnish World War II winter coat and buy that because it's gray, and that would look pretty good. And then if I want, I could find some kind of emblem or something to sew on it. I'm a pretty good sewer, by the way. To designate if I have a rank or if I'm a siege specialist or a sapper or something. Maybe put some strips around one arm to show regimental numbers and stuff. But yeah, but besides that, you guys have seen the pictures. I've posted it on my YouTube channel. The only negative is it's pretty hot because that French jacket is wool, and wool, you know how that is. I mean, and then when you're wearing a full mask with the whole gas mask and everything, and you've got the balaclava under it and the turtleneck shirt and everything sealed up and everything, it's pretty hot. It's not as hot as my old firefighter turnout gear was, but it's pretty hot. So, but I think if I rolled into like the Horicon or one of the cons up in Orlando in Death Corps Krieg gear, I think that would be a lot of fun. And I would let people come up and get pictures with me and everything. I'd be totally cool about it. I'd pay for the ticket and I'd just roll in and hang out in the Death Corps Krieg gear. Maybe I'd run into somebody dressed up as a Space Marine or something. I mean, it has happened. At these tournaments and stuff, they have had dudes dressed up in power armor or Sisters of Battle. That's one you see sometimes. So if I can run into any Sisters of Battle or other Imperial guys, I could just hang out around them, and I could just be, private I got a bunch of numbers, on the thing because I don't think Kriegsmen get names. They just get numbers. Because little known secret, they're all cloned and grown in these tubes that make them grow at a very, very fast rate. And generally, by the time their training is done and they go off world to fight a war, they're like 15 years old. So, I've never been to Punta Gorda, but yeah, I'm in Orlando. There's a lot of YouTubers in Orlando. It's really weird that we have never met each other anywhere, I don't think. Dungeon Delver's in Orlando. He hangs out at Gods and Monsters. Harmony Ginger's in Orlando somewhere or in the region. I'm not trying to dox her. I don't know where she hangs out because I usually go to the Coliseum of Comics or Sci-Fi City. And I've never seen any of those guys there, but maybe they have been. And I just never seen them there. But Florida, a lot of gamers here. A lot of gamers. Which is why I have a home game and I can generally get 8 to 10 players for about anything. But right now, I'm not running a game. I'm playing a game I'm playing a vampire game. So, and we're having a lot of fun with it. And it's nice because I've been the forever DM for like, I don't know, 10 years. So it's nice to be but I have to, this is a topic somebody smarter than me needs to talk about. Not that I think that person exists, but learning to be a player when you've been a DM for like 10 or 20 years, that's a skill and a challenge. It's not easy because as the DM, you're so used to kind of being in control of the pace and everything like that. Like you can throw Wandering Monsters if you want. You can do whatever, right? And then as the player, it's pretty difficult to get used to. Oh, we got left. My
Hello.
brother in Christ from the Commonwealth. How are you doing, sir?
Doing good. How's it going?
But yeah, if you've DM'd a game for a long, long time and then trying to learn how to be a player, oh my God. I'll make that video. You should. Oh, wait. I did, but I'll make it again. Yeah, I mean, it is so hard because you're sitting there. If you don't take that DM hat off and like put it away, and especially, and I'm not saying this to make anyone feel bad, but especially if you're playing a game where you know everything about the game way better than anyone else at the table, including the storyteller. It's like, and I need to learn to shut my mouth during the game and let him make the rulings and the callings. And if something's really egregious, just talk to him after. I mean, he is a brother, so I can always be like, hey, you and I both know you did that shit wrong. But if I call him out at the table, that's just bad form. And I did do that once, and it's bad form, being rules lawyery or telling somebody they did something wrong when they're trying to run a game. It's not good.
Just don't want to be a rules lawyer, do you?
Yeah, I don't. And the problem is, I've been playing Vampire the Masquerade in one iteration of or another since like 96. Which is why when I say Bruja, I always say the hard J. Because the only time it's become Bruja is like the last 10 or 15 years. Always before that, it was Bruja. It was never Bruja for like 20 years straight, maybe even 30. And then after Requiem come out, idiots started saying Bruja. It's like, it's not even spelled the same.
Not even right.
But if you want to call him Bruja, go ahead. But it's not even spelled the same. there's no H at the end of Bruja or Brujo, which is a witch or a male witch. Yeah, there's no H there. Chaos has no honor. Never forget. You know who? I don't know if you guys can see him because he's on Twitch. I guess you can say the Blood Pact has at least some kind of honor, according to the books, if you've read them. But the Chaos Space Marines are a bunch of douchebags for sure. Played VTS for a bit myself. Yeah, towards the end of second edition, when second edition was really going to hell, a buddy of mine was like, "Have you ever played this game?" And it was Werewolf. And I was like, "No, never played Werewolf." And he's like, "Hey, check it out." And I looked at it and I was like, "Oh, Fianna, definitely, you know."
Yeah, Vienna.
Oh, yeah, Fianna Arun. And we played and I enjoyed the shit out of it. And then a little bit later, I got invited to a Vampire LARP game up in Orlando. And that's when I got into Vampire. And then, of course, I got into the whole off-grid gaming. What's up, my Canadian brethren? I was thinking about all my Canadian buddies today when I was listening to John LaJoy sing "Every Day, Normal Everyday Something Guy." I'm an average everyday normal guy. Yeah. It's hard to believe that John LaJoy put that song out like 20 years ago. Jeez, where did the time go? Or "Show Me Your Genitals." That's like a 20-year-old song now. So what you been doing, Left?
Oh, coming up with a new character for a new campaign my DM wants to run.
Nice. What kind of campaign?
It's going to be set basically in the same world. The DM just kind of want to start over with a somewhat new group.
So a reset.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, cool.
It happened because the scheduling has been a little bit off for a lot of players.
Right. Well, you know, that's not too bad because, I mean, it gives you another opportunity to make something totally like that you might want to play and try that out.
Oh, I got something planned. Probably a bit of an odd one.
Catharsis now.
I basically came up with the idea of a gnome rune master. What?
I love gnomes.
Yeah, I wanted to make a gnome who basically wants to put runes on basically anything.
When I ran AD&D in my homebrew campaign, I didn't allow anyone to play halflings, but they could play gnomes. And people were like, "Why can't we play halflings?" And I was like, "Because I'm not running the One Ring." If you want to play hobbits, we need to stop playing AD&D and we'll play One Ring. You can play all the hobbits you want right from the Shire. You can even have your last name be Baggins or Took. But in this world, there are no halflings because halflings are entirely something that J.R.R. Tolkien invented. Whereas gnomes, they exist in multiple different mythologies.
Yeah, but probably not in the way that D&D portrays them, usually.
Sometimes not. Slavic gnomes, for instance, will attack and kill you on sight, and they curse you. And if they bite you, it can cause you to slowly wither away and die. And they run around in packs of up to 20 or so. Yeah, that's the Russian version. You don't want to mess with that guy. But then in European versions, you had like gnomes and knockers and whatnot. And they could be actually good guys. Even in the Slavic mythology, there's a type of a creature called a domovoi. That's basically a gnome, but he's good.
Oh, okay.
And he lives in your house, and at night he'll do work and clean up and stuff. As long as you respect him and you leave food out for him. But if you disrespect him, then he might leave and put a curse on you. Red caps, yeah, red caps. That's more of a Scottish thing, but gnomes in iron boots with big hooks that kill you if they catch you. And
But
they
yeah,
wander around on All Hallows Eve.
have to figure out some things. Like, I mean, this character's going to be a little bit hard to play in a certain way.
Why?
Basically, I couldn't take anything in stamina or vigor, if you want to go by that.
Are you
So,
using RuneQuest?
no, this is going by uh, World of Darkness,
Okay.
Chronicles of Darkness specifically.
Well, you should have at least one dot in stamina, right?
Yeah, you start off with one, but I couldn't put any more, so my health pool is rather low.
5+1, if I remember correctly.
No, I got like 4 health.
Oh. Yeah, because in 5th edition Vampire, your health pool is your stamina plus something else. Resolve, maybe? So depending on how you put your dots in, you could end up with like 3 wound points or 7. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then you get to add. Good night, Bloodworth. Thank you for dropping in, and have a wonderful day tomorrow. What was I thinking? Oh, you get to add every level of fortitude as a point of health in addition to fortitude. So
for me, I have like a 2 resolve, a 1 and
right.
vigor,
So
and like I had to put my most of my points in that went into both dex and strength for my crafting abilities.
mm-mm.
So you know, I have like a 3 strength and a 3 dex.
Mhm. Let me ask you though, it's like, I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't work because I think it will work, but what's it like playing like a more or less classical fantasy game, but using World of Darkness rules?
It works fine.
Yeah, I think I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, you put a couple dots in brawl or melee or ranged or whatever, right?
It's less fantastical, like, you know, hero-y than you know, some D&D games.
Well, especially if somebody rolls really, really good to shoot at you with a bow and you don't roll really, really good to dodge it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, that could just be the end of that character right there, you know?
Yeah, let's see here.
Because the bow does however much damage plus an additional damage for every success over what they needed.
Later,
Catch you
overkill.
later, Overkill. Thanks for dropping in. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'm going to be taking off before too long anyway.
Well, let's see here. Also, I went for some weird merits for this character.
Really? What do you
I think
consider
so.
a weird merit?
Well, these aren't the weird parts. I
Mhm.
put good time management in there, area of expertise, and then I was going to go with resources. I was like, how much do I want with that? I'm like, well, I got enough for 4. Maybe I should do that.
That would make your character very wealthy.
Yes, I did go against that one and just like put 2.
Well,
Just to have
2
some.
means that you're not going to starve.
Yeah,
You know,
I wanted some
you'll be able to
resources, just
get
much.
basic equipment pretty easy.
Then I
But
went.
if you want to buy anything big, you'll have to expend an actual dot of resource.
Then I kind of wanted like a companion to help me with some of my ideas for what I want to do.
Oh,
So
always.
I picked up an ally and picked a dwarf ally.
Yep. My vampire has a ghoul retainer named Polima. And because of the disciplines that I have, like drought of whatever, if I give him a drought of my blood, he gains half rounded up of my potence for that night, which is 5, which means the ghoul gets 3 potence. And 3 potents, that's like picking up a Harley Davidson and chucking it a block. You know what I mean?
Well,
Even though he's just a human, if I let him drink that blood, boy,
to be
well,
fair,
he's more than
I
human.
I
He's
am at the physical the highest physical strength that my gnome could be at 3
right.
because they get a penalty on that and can't go over 3.
Right. Well, since, we're all just humans, I've got all of the disciplines from the game made into cards and in sleeves. So when I play the game, I just put my discipline cards out in front of me so that I know what everything does.
Fair. I do have like a 4 in intelligence though. That's nice.
Huzzah!
Oh yeah, I forgot. Also, I did take. Well, yeah, I did tell you about the area of expertise. I wanted that area of expertise for smithing.
Yes, off-grid gaming, Bruja get potence and celerity automatically.
Yep.
And then if you are an American Bruja, or if you decide you can have presence, but if you take the background European Bruja, you instead of presence, you get dominate. But I think presence is better. You know what I mean? So, and you're right, it is the power combo. But in 5th edition, because you like in 5th edition, every level of celerity doesn't give you an additional action. It just gives you like different abilities. So the first ability I have allows me to move a short distance really fast because each dot has multiple abilities you can choose between. And then the second ability allows me to dodge gunfire as if I had cover and I don't have to split my dice pool. So I'm just, like Neo, just doing all the crazy dodging shit. And then the third one allows me to instantly run up on somebody. And then the fourth one is really good because I picked an amalgam for my level 4 ability, which required me to have obfuscate 3, but I did. And that allows me to literally vanish and then reappear punching my enemies. So if they don't beat me at a challenge, they have to roll like their awareness and whatever versus my whatever. If they don't see me coming, then the target number for me to hit them is 1 and they don't get to defend at all. So yeah, basically I literally become invisible and then punch them upside the head. And then potence, of course, does add to damage, and I can add celerity to any of my dexterity type things. So, the dots do still kind of count, but not like in the older versions where once your character hit that max potence and celerity, it was time to just rip the whole city apart. Nice. Nice. Yeah, off-grid gaming, I tried out for the Special Forces thing at Fort Stewart. Like, I tried out for the test you got to try out for to be picked to take the test to actually try out because it's hard. And as fit as I was and everything as I was, I didn't get picked. You've all heard the story, but like 300, 400 people tried out. They took like 20. So I was the wrong MOS too. They said right off the bat they were looking for medics and communication specialists, and I was infantry. So I probably was not qualified anyway. But that was like before you even go to pre-Q, and then you got past pre-Q to even go to Q. So if you see a guy with that freaking tab, he's a badass, 100%. You know. I think the Green Berets are probably the most elite soldiers on the planet. No one's even close. but they do the job they do. So a gnome with a dwarf buddy that runs around wanting to rune craft stuff.
Yep, I picked up smithing. I'm going to be a bit of a blacksmith with the ability to make runes. And
do the runes add magic to the weapons?
Yes.
So nice.
Yeah, I even picked
So
up a
that could be
specialty
a very
for.
useful character to have in a group.
Oh yeah, I will probably be one of the most. I'd say most useful, but one that needs protecting from, violence.
Right, but still very useful because you'll be like,
Like I can hit decently hard, but if I get hit, I'm going down.
yeah.
Like I got like what, a D6 to hit something.
That sounds.
Well, not D6, but
Well, what's your strength and what's your melee, and that's how many die you roll.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. A 60-10 to hit.
Versus if they know you're attacking them, they're whatever. So
Yeah. It's 3 weaponry, 3 strength, or dex, depending on if I'm using one that uses dex.
What's up, George? Showed up late. We're getting ready to wrap this up. I'm getting ready to go to bed. But just so everybody knows, the only thing I have left really is to flock and do some details. There's Leonidas. So my 6-point Spartan army is done. Completely done. It's Leonidas for 1 point, 4 units of elite soldiers for 4 points, and then the 6 point is a 12-man unit of slaves.
And yep,
So, well, I'm on the South Coast, so it's like East Side. But no, I'm in Florida. We're doing our own thing. But in my home state, we ain't got a coast unless it's next to a big river.
We got mountains.
We got a lot of big rivers.
Rivers and mountains. At least in the eastern side, we got mountains.
Yeah, I'm definitely heading to one of the upcoming Florida cons. We have Orlando has like 3 or 4 a year. And like Huracan is really cool because they do a lot of historical wargaming and stuff like that. So 70 million years ago, yeah.
Okay.
The middle of the United States was just a shallow, warm ocean. But like I said, I'll dress up in my Death Corps Krieg uniform and just show up. And probably won't even game. I'll just walk around, sit in a corner, and think about all the kids and how they don't even know I'm cool in Death Corps Krieg.
What if I do?
Yeah, Appalachia, the Appalachian Mountains are billions of years old. They're one of the oldest mountain ranges on the planet. And we talked all about this on the last live stream I did. When the Cherokee Indians finally made it to the Appalachian Mountains, there were already white people living there. And they have all this whole myth about them. They called them the moon-eyed people because they were really white and they had really pale hair and blue eyes. And they generally were nocturnal. But they built their houses and forts out of stone, which the Cherokee knew of no tribe that did that, and they refused to trade or be friendly with the Cherokee. They just avoided them at all costs. Eventually, the Cherokee went to war and drove them away. And some legends say they just fled into the caves underground, died out, or got integrated into the native tribe. There are parts of North Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Kentucky, etc., where you can still find the ruins where the Moon-eyed people lived when the Cherokee arrived. But now they're just piles of stone and stuff. These people supposedly had really pale skin and hair and largish blue eyes. They were not as stout and strong as the Cherokee warriors were. And they typically were 100% nocturnal. They would come out, they built stone forts on top of hills, and they would stay there all day. And then they would come out at night because they could see good in the dark. And they would do all their hunting and gathering and everything at night. But yeah. Blue-eyed people by design, mate. Well, it would make sense since the first blue-eyed people would have been in Europe during the Ice Age, which would have been dark as hell 90% of the time. So, but these moon-eyed people, what they were, I mean, it's pretty certain they exist. There's actual archaeological evidence, but where they went. But the reality is, we call the Cherokee and those tribes the Native Americans, but the reality is they were not the Native Americans. There were multiple other peoples that lived here before they showed up, like the red-haired giants and definitely the moon-eyed people. So did these people come from Europe? Don't know. Were they some kind of weird parallel thing that was going on? Maybe. Hard to say, hard to say. But yeah, like I said, if you go online and do a web search for ruins of the moon-eyed people, you'll find them, in northeast Georgia, they have a whole, well, it's tumbled stone now, but it used to be a stone fortress, and it was built by stacking bricks on bricks, and their houses were made out of flat stones, and they were like conical. So they would just do the stones smaller and smaller until they were like a beehive. And they always had very small doors so that the moon-eyed people could go in and hide from the light. But yeah, the Cherokee, after trying for years to contact them and trade with them and whatnot, eventually just got sick of it and ran them off. Because their being there made the Cherokee very nervous. Honey logger. Well, when I used to go to SCA, I used to get meat all the time. And since I was the leader of a house of warriors, the Baron of the Barony of Blackwater would give us like a half-gallon bottle of vodka for if me and my guys would fight for him. So we always did that. Good times. He died. Hackin. Rest in peace, Baron Hackin. I don't know what your real name was, but to me, you will always be the Baron Hackin. Or it's a Viking. I could be pronouncing it wrong. All of that said, bro, I am going to go to bed. It's like 11 o'clock.
It's 10 for me, but yeah. But before you get off, I just confirmed something with my DM.
What's that?
Tattoos are a specialty under crafts, and I can pick that. So I am. So I can tattoo runes onto people.
That's cool.
Yes.
I mean, that's a thing in like Warhammer, and it's also a thing in Legend of the Five Rings. Never forget, brother says, okay, before I leave, I'll answer this. Yes, it's amazing. The way that one squad of Marines goes on to that ship and just freaking starts wiping out all those heretics and stuff is absolutely amazing. I liked the Death at Hell's Reach video that they made. It started out like black and white, not super great, and then it just got better. Like how it starts when it shows Grimaldus, and it's like he's like, Armageddon, I'm gonna die on this world. You know what I mean? And I also like the Blood Angels one quite a bit too. But I play Blood Angels in 30K. I don't play 40K anymore. When I am forced to play in the 40K era, I play Death Corps of Krieg. I have a huge army, and we use one-page rules because I just hate 10th edition. But 7th edition, Horus Heresy, is amazing. Yeah, I'll die on this world. Yep. The one I felt kind of bad for too was the Titan commander. You know what I mean? The one that Grammatis, was it Grammatis? Yeah, convinced to stay and fight. And yeah, in the end, you know, she got whacked by that orc mega gargant. But it was sad, and she went out like a hero. I liked when they met and he was being all the badass and shit. And she was all like, take off your helmet so that I can see your face. And he takes his helmet off and she's like, you have kind eyes, you know? But she's in this big tank and barely a skeleton because she's like mentally wired into this freaking Titan. Super cool stuff. I love 40K lore. I just hate the rules. You know what I mean? It's like every time they release a new rule set, it just sucks.
Anyway, it is getting late, so I guess
Oh,
I'll
the
see
old
you.
movie. Yeah, it is getting late. Yeah, never forget. Next time I stream, which is every evening on Monday nights, if you want to talk 40K, just join us. We can talk all the 40K, you know. Never forget, brother. Right? Another good one was the one with the Sisters of Battle guarding the shrine against the Corn cultists. That was a good one too. So God has blue eyes. I don't know that God has any. Well, I mean, not to get. I'm not going to get super religious, but it's like the Father. Does the Father even have? Not saying he couldn't have. Obviously, he could. He created the Son, or they're the same two beings of one essence, not counting spirit. But yeah, that gets into some metaphysical stuff there. Get the UN blue paint for your roof and rain harvest. Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to harvest rain in Florida, but people do anyway. Because I mean, what are they going to do? Come to your house and get mad at you because you're freaking, you got a 50-gallon bucket in your backyard. It's like, you got a warrant? If you ain't got a warrant, get the hell out of my yard anyway. You could just say, I just leave that there. I'm not collecting rain. It's just an old empty barrel that I haven't thrown away. Not that I would tell anybody to lie, but the government can F itself. And with that, I will say good night, good gentlemen. Good night, ye princes of Maine, and sweet dreams, and may flocks of angels fly you to your rest. Adieu, adieu. Parting is such sweet sorrow.